My parents left me $1 million, but there was a catch that would break me before I ever saw a single cent. I stood in the lawyer's mahogany office, my hands trembling as I held the envelope containing my parents' will. It had been 3 months since the accident. 3 months since I'd lost them both in one devastating night. The grief was still raw, an open wound that refused to heal. Across the room, separated by leather chairs and years of bitter silence, sat my sister Emma. We hadn't spoken in 8 years. Not at holidays, not at birthdays, and now not even at our own parents' funeral. The lawyer cleared his throat, adjusting his glasses with practiced solemnity. What he was about to read would either destroy us completely or force us into an impossible choice. Neither of us was prepared for what came next. To my daughters Sarah and Emma, the lawyer began reading, his voice steady and professional. We leave you each the sum of $1 million. My breath caught. Emma's eyes widened. But the lawyer wasn't finished. However, this inheritance comes with a condition. You must complete the journey together within 6 months. All 12 challenges must be finished as a team. If you refuse or if you fail to complete it, the entire estate will be donated to charity. The room spun. $1 million, together, with her. The sister I'd sworn never to forgive. The lawyer slid 2 identical leather journals across his desk, one burgundy, one navy blue. Your parents spent 2 years designing these challenges. They contain specific instructions, locations, and tasks. You must both participate fully in each one. There are no shortcuts. Emma's jaw was clenched, her knuckles white. I knew that look. She was just as trapped as I was. 8 years ago, Emma had done something I'd convinced myself was unforgivable. She'd missed my wedding. Not because of an emergency or an accident, but because she chose her career over me. A once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity, she'd called it. She'd sent a text message 2 hours before the ceremony. Just a text, no call, no real apology. On what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, her empty seat in the front row had screamed louder than any congratulations. I'd felt abandoned, betrayed by the person who was supposed to be my best friend first and my sister always. We'd grown up inseparable, sharing secrets and dreams under blanket forts. But that day, something inside me shattered. I'd returned her subsequent calls and letters unopened, blocked her on social media, built walls so high that even our parents couldn't scale them. And now they wanted us to work together? We met 3 days later at the address listed in Challenge 1. Neither of us had called the other. We'd communicated only through the lawyer's assistant, like diplomats from warring nations. The location was Mom's favorite bakery downtown, the one where she'd taken us every Saturday morning as children. The owner, Mrs. Chen, smiled knowingly when we arrived separately, exactly 15 minutes apart. Your mother left something for you, she said, handing us a recipe box. Inside was Mom's handwritten note. Challenge 1. Bake my famous apple cinnamon cake together. Every step. No shortcuts. Share it with someone who needs sweetness in their life today. My throat tightened. This cake had been our childhood. Emma and I had learned to make it together, fighting over who got to crack the eggs, laughing when flour exploded across the kitchen. Emma opened her mouth, then closed it. Finally, she whispered, I remember. We worked in painful silence at first, moving around each other like strangers in a too small space. Emma measured flour while I chopped apples, our movements mechanical and careful, avoiding any accidental touch. But baking has a language of its own. When Emma reached for the cinnamon, I instinctively handed it to her. When I struggled with the mixer, she adjusted the speed without asking. Muscle memory from 1,000 childhood Saturdays took over. The scent of apples and cinnamon began filling the small kitchen, and with it came memories I'd buried deep. Emma teaching me to peel apples in one long spiral, Mom guiding our hands as we folded in the batter. Dad sneaking tastes when he thought we weren't looking. You still add extra cinnamon, Emma said quietly. It wasn't a question. You still remember, I replied, my voice barely audible. Something flickered across her face. Pain, maybe, or regret. The cake came out perfect, golden and fragrant, just like Mom used to make. Mrs. Chen directed us to a nearby homeless shelter, where Mom had apparently volunteered every Thursday for the past decade. We carried the still warm cake through drizzling rain, protected under Emma's umbrella. The shelter director, Marcus, greeted us like old friends, though we'd never met him before. Your mother talked about you both constantly, he said, his eyes crinkling with warmth. She never stopped believing you'd find your way back to each other. Those words hit like a physical blow. While Emma and I had been locked in our stubborn silence, Mom had been here, hoping, believing. We served cake to 40 people that afternoon. An elderly veteran told us it reminded him of his grandmother's baking. A young mother with 2 small children smiled for the first time in weeks. Her daughter declared it the best cake in the whole world. As we cleaned up, Emma's voice cracked. She knew, didn't she? Mom knew what she was doing. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. Over the next month, the challenges revealed themselves as a carefully crafted map of our shared history. Challenge 2 sent us to the lake where we'd learned to swim, where we had to build a raft together and float to the middle to retrieve a waterproof box containing our next instructions. Challenge 3 required us to volunteer at the animal shelter where we'd adopted our childhood dog, Biscuit. We walked rescue dogs side by side, not talking much, but the silence had shifted from hostile to something softer. Challenge 4 was brutal. We had to sort through boxes of our childhood belongings in our parents' attic, deciding together what to keep, donate, or discard. Every item held a memory. Every memory was a small crack in the dam I'd built. Emma found my old journal, the one where I'd written her name in hearts. I found her collection of birthday cards I'd made her, saved in a decorated shoebox. Neither of us mentioned these discoveries, but we didn't throw them away either. Challenge 7 broke us. It required us to spend 24 hours in Mom and Dad's now empty house, sleeping in our old bedroom, talking through the night. No phones, no distractions. Just us and 8 years of poisonous silence. We sat on our childhood beds, facing each other across the room that had once held whispered secrets and midnight giggles. The tension was suffocating. Finally, Emma spoke. I know you'll never forgive me for missing your wedding. Her voice was raw. But Sarah, I need you to know why. I wanted to stop her, to keep my anger intact. But something in her eyes made me listen. The business opportunity was a lie, she continued, tears streaming down her face. I was in the hospital that day. I'd found a lump. I was terrified it was cancer, and I couldn't bring myself to ruin your perfect day with my fear. So I lied. I chose to protect you instead of being there, and I've regretted it every single day since. The room tilted. 8 years of righteous anger crumbled in an instant, replaced by something far worse. Guilt. What? I whispered. You had cancer? No, Emma said quickly. It turned out to be benign, but I didn't know that on your wedding day. I was sitting in a hospital gown, waiting for a biopsy, imagining my own funeral. And I couldn't tell you because it was your day, your happiness. I didn't want to steal that from you. My hands were shaking. Why didn't you tell me after? Why didn't you explain? I tried, she said, her voice breaking. I called. I wrote letters, but you'd already decided who I was, what I'd done, and maybe I thought I deserved your hatred. Maybe I convinced myself it was easier for you to hate me than to worry about me. I thought of all the returned letters, the blocked numbers, the years of silence. I would have been there, I whispered. If I'd known, I would have been there. We talked through the night, 8 years of pain spilling out between us. Emma told me about the fear she'd carried alone, the medical anxiety that still woke her at 3 a.m. I told her about my divorce 2 years ago, how I'd needed my sister and had no one to call. We'd both been drowning in separate oceans, too proud or too hurt to reach across the water. As dawn light filtered through our old curtains, Emma showed me something I'd never seen. A folder of printed emails never sent. Hundreds of them. "I wrote to you every week," she said. "I just never had the courage to actually send them. I documented everything. My life, my thoughts, my regrets. All the things I wanted to tell you but couldn't." I pulled out my phone and showed her my photo album. "Invisible Sister," the folder was labeled. Pictures of moments I'd wanted to share with her. My first house. My promotion. A sunset that reminded me of our childhood. "I took a picture every time I missed you," I admitted. "Which means I have about 3,000 photos." The remaining challenges took on new meaning. We weren't just completing tasks. We were rebuilding a bridge, plank by painful plank. Challenge 8 had us volunteering at a literacy program, reading to children. A little girl asked if we were twins because we looked like we belonged together. Challenge 9 required us to take a pottery class and create matching pieces. Our bowls were lopsided and imperfect, but we made them side by side, our hands occasionally bumping in the shared clay. Challenge 10 sent us hiking the trail where Dad used to take us, where we'd complained about the climb but loved the view. We scattered some of their ashes at the summit, finally mourning together. We talked about Mom's laugh, Dad's terrible jokes, the ordinary magic of our family dinners. We cried until we couldn't breathe, holding each other like we used to during thunderstorms as children. The grief was overwhelming, but sharing it made it bearable. We weren't alone anymore. Challenge 11 arrived in a sealed envelope from the lawyer. Inside were 2 letters, one for each of us in our parents' handwriting. Mine read, "My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, you've made it through most of the journey. I'm so proud of you, but I need to tell you something important. The money was never real. We spent our savings on medical bills and helping others. There is no $1,000,000. What we're leaving you is something far more valuable. Your sister. We created these challenges because we knew that if we simply told you the truth about why Emma missed your wedding, you might forgive her, but you wouldn't truly heal. You needed to remember who you were together. You needed to choose each other again, not out of obligation, but through shared experience and rebuilt trust. The greatest inheritance we can give you is the love you have for each other. Don't waste another 8 years. We love you both endlessly. Mom and Dad." Emma and I sat in stunned silence, our letters trembling in our hands. "There's no money," I said numbly. "There never was." "They tricked us," Emma whispered, then started laughing through her tears. "Those brilliant, manipulative, wonderful people tricked us." The final challenge envelope felt heavier than the others. Inside was a simple instruction. Challenge 12. Decide your own ending. You can walk away now, taking nothing but these lessons. Or you can choose each other. Choose forgiveness. Choose family. The choice has always been yours. There was one more item in the envelope. A small key and an address. We drove to a storage unit across town, our hands linked across the center console like we used to on long car rides. Inside the unit were boxes of photo albums, home videos, and childhood artwork our parents had saved. But in the center was something else, 2 framed photographs. One of Emma and me as toddlers, arms wrapped around each other. One of us at my wedding, Emma's empty chair circled in red marker. On the back, Mom had written, "Remember who you were. Forgive who you've become. Choose who you'll be." We spent hours in that storage unit, surrounded by the evidence of our shared life. Every birthday party, every school play, every ordinary Tuesday that our parents had deemed worth remembering. In one box, I found Emma's bridesmaid dress from my wedding, carefully preserved in tissue paper. She'd bought it. She'd planned to be there, until fear had stolen that choice from her. In another box, Emma discovered cards I'd made her throughout our childhood. Hundreds of them. "To the best sister in the world," they all said, in variations of crayon and marker. "You were my favorite person," I said, my voice thick with emotion. For 22 years, you were my favorite person in the entire world. You still are, Emma replied. You've always been, even when I hated myself for losing you. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her for the first time in 8 years. She looked older, tired, but her eyes held the same warmth I remembered. We can't get those years back, I said. No, she agreed. But we can start from here. 6 months after that first meeting in the lawyer's office, Emma and I stood in the same room. This time we arrived together. The lawyer smiled, a knowing expression on his weathered face. Your parents left one final message, he said, handing us an envelope addressed to both of us. Inside was a check, not for $1 million, but for $50,000 each. Your parents sold some investments before they passed, the lawyer explained. This was always meant for you. The challenges weren't about earning an inheritance. They were about remembering what you already had. Emma and I looked at each other and laughed. $50,000 seemed meaningless compared to what we'd gained. We'd completed all 12 challenges. We'd chosen each other. We'd chosen forgiveness. The real inheritance wasn't money. It was every Tuesday coffee date we now shared, every phone call that lasted hours, every inside joke we'd created, and every old one we'd remembered. It was knowing that when life knocked me down, I had a sister who would drop everything to help me up. And that when Emma was scared at 3 a.m., she had someone to call who would always, always answer. Our parents had given us the only thing that truly mattered, each other. And this time, we weren't letting go. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Heart Remains for more emotional stories about love, loss, and the ties that bind us. And maybe, if there's someone in your life you've lost touch with, consider this your sign to reach out. Life's too short for silent years. Share this story if you believe in second chances and the power of forgiveness.